Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about why I'm making these little videos about narcissistic histrionic people. I don't think I've done a little sum up in a while, but yeah, I have seen them all my life. Okay, I'm in my 50s. I've seen them all my life. And even when I was a child, I knew there was something not so right. I mean, I'm talking a young child about them. And, I just didn't have the right terminology. And really, it's becoming more and more, there's more and more awareness now than there ever had been in my life. And my degrees are in psychology and sociology. I taught at college and university. It just wasn't something that, there's so much that it's just that they're not going to focus on these things than people think that they will. But anyway, like I said, I have experience dealing with them. And you would think, could one person have so much experience with them? Yes. Yes, they can. There's a whole lot of people talk about, and I know myself, you're raised in that kind of environment, or it could be the environment or family or or both. And I don't want to blame you, like say you attract them, and you're not really attracted to them. It's just that they seem to happen. I don't blame victims. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Through the neighborhood, while I was talking about this, this is a lot of winding roads and stuff. There was somebody right on my tail. Okay. I live in an area that I call Narcissismville. I did not give it a reputation of people with a high sense of entitlement and all that. That's when I first heard of this place. The suburb, which is not the whole suburb. That's, all that. You don't generalize like that. You don't say everybody, when it's just a few. But yeah, it had a reputation. The first thing I heard about it, like 30 or so years ago, was the reputation that people had a high sense of entitlement and so on, that was narcissistic. And in a way, in certain areas, it seems like part of the culture. And pardon the blinker, by the way. But yeah, and so everybody owns the road, and you're on their road, and they're going to ensure that you get off of their road, or you hurry up and you better drive much more than the speed limit because they own this road. You see what I'm saying? And not only do I have to, have I seen this in my whole life, but, and I'm not saying everyone, so don't think, oh, well, you see it in every person, so it must be you. No, that is not the case. But they're the ones who stick out because they ensure that they stick out. And that's the ones I'm going to talk about. There are a lot of nice people that I've run across in my life. They're just, or maybe they don't have to be even nice. They, say I'm going the speed limit and everybody's going to pass me or get too close. But anyway, I've known a lot of nice ones, or just ones that are, it's not that they're indifferent, it's just that they're there, and they're not the type to want to stand out like these people do that I call, they have a narcissistic histrionic blend of behaviors. This is not a diagnosis in any way of a personality disorder. It's just the behaviors, in my view, look like, seem like that. And read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. Like it says, this is not any kind of form of counseling advice, none of that. Go ahead and read it. But yeah, I mean, these people, okay, I've described them in different ways in this little series. I'm basically making kind of like short stories, or one of them might be a long story, or two of them. It's not going to be professional. It's kind of like a rough draft. Well, it is a rough draft, really. So it's not up for those histrionics and, people with histrionic and narcissistic behavior say, oh, I can steal this. It's mine now. No, it's not. Period. And yeah, by the way, I have at least one of those about every year. No, it's not a perfect thing. It's not January 1st to December 31st. But yeah, I usually have at least one person. I've said that before. I'll say it again. And anyway, my view of them is that they're just not that smart. They're not very creative. The only kind of smart they have is to be what they are, narcissistic and histrionic. Now, some would say that they're actually, it's more along the line of borderline, which I was saying this is not a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. It's one of the cluster Bs, along with narcissist. narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and borderline, like I said, personality disorder. But yeah, some could be diagnosed, or maybe they are. Yeah, I've heard rumors, but no. I'm not going to talk about any one particular person. It's just the kind of behaviors, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. One might do this kind of thing, and then the other one does this other kind of thing, but the result is often their goal is often the same, and it's all about them. It is all about them. These are the people who do the talking over you, yelling, a lot of yelling. They're very loud, both in voice, their the way they speak, the way they laugh, the way they dress is loud. Okay, lots of bling. Often, like I said, they don't all do the same thing. Their hair's often dyed. They want to stand out, and they do. In whatever way, doesn't matter. If they get negative attention or positive attention, they want attention, and they're going to stand out. And if you get in an argument with them, oh my goodness, they're going to yell and scream and cuss you out, and they love using foul language, and as if that really helps their situation. And you dare to tell them they're wrong, or you're not giving them their way. Like I said, they will talk over you, yell at you, cuss you out, maybe even hit you, because they're demanding it. They're demanding, and they threaten you somehow. Okay, and some people say, well, you're never going to win with them. You don't really want to. Maybe some people do. It's to me, it's better just to stay away from them, like as though they have the plague. Okay, really, they are really harsh. And now these are also ones who will have a lot of flying monkeys, what people call flying monkeys, like from the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Okay, and they're basically they're flying monkeys. Some of them can be fooled by them. They believe that they really, these narcissistic, histrionic people, they believe them. They believe that, and when they cry and they're doing the smear campaign on somebody, saying how horrible that other person is and how horrible that other person treated them, when it's really them. That's called projection. And they will have a lot of people believing them. And some of those, that's fooled by them, but some of them know better, that no, really, you did it yourself. But they still, they do things like that. They do things that are really bad toward other people, and it's kind of like in a way a confirmation bias that it's okay to behave in that terrible way towards somebody because other people do it too. And that's kind of their mentality, is other people do it, so why can't I? Like I said, it's all about them. Okay, and this whole thing about being all about them, they don't care if anybody else is hurt. They, like in some instances, like me, right now I'm on my way to my doctor's, and say something, something happens or whatever, and it's not good. Okay, I'm not expecting anything bad. Oh my goodness, maybe I shouldn't even talk about this because I'm jinxing myself. I don't believe in jinxing, but you never know, And that's another thing I should mention while I'm on that topic, is that these are people who will use stuff like that to say, like, jinx and paranormal and, this is mystical, magical, and I'm not saying everybody who does that is this way, but they will use this to draw people in, because they think a lot of people love that kind of stuff. Some of them love to hear it and laugh about it, people who think in those kinds of terms, but some are really interested in it. So they know how to draw those people in. And they might not believe it at all. They might be looking at everybody who believes them as a bunch of fools, and that they just know how to work it. I've heard that so much in my life. I know how to work it. I know how to hustle to get my money, get what I want. I am serious. I have heard that since I was very young. People saying that. And they're proud of it. They're proud of abusing people. Of using people and abusers. Users and abusers. That's what I used to always call them. They're proud of it. They said that, like, as if it's some really big skill. Well, in their mind it is, because they have that love of money. Money, fame, fortune. They want all that. They must have it. If anybody else gets a little bit of it around them, oh my goodness, temper tantrum, like a really bad child. Not all children do temper tantrums, as we know. But oh man, they can throw that temper tantrum big time and use the smear campaign all the while of everybody else. That person, ooh, don't, and some of it can even be just, ooh, I wouldn't be around that person because, she or he does this and that. When it's really them. It's really them who is the person you don't want to be around. Like as if they have the plague. Sign over here on a business says drive-through oil change. Well, you do that in a way, at places. You drive through, but I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, real life happens in the middle of a video. I'm wondering which one is going to take that as theirs. I am serious. I have been around this type, and I have seen this type. And like I was talking about, where did I leave off on any of them? This is stream of consciousness. Yeah, I've been doing those kinds of videos for years. But yeah, this about the flying monkeys. Now, some of these flying monkeys that you might think are their flying monkeys, they believe, they seem like they believe in everything this person says. They raise this person up on a pedestal, really. But some of them are not. Some of them are just as bad, and what they're trying to do is to get their, their fame and fortune through that person. Like that person's, going to rub off on them, or they're going to steal that person's ways, or steal that person's flying monkeys, steal that person's whatever. Because stealing to them, and it doesn't have to be like they're going to your house and picking up something. No, they steal ideas, and they steal mannerisms and topics and everything. It doesn't matter what they steal to them. They just think that they have that high sense of entitlement you hear about, that everything belongs to them anyway. And the other person, well, they're just not as good at it. If they even admit to that, they don't admit. They just think it's theirs. It's naturally, of course, it's mine. It's them naturally. But they don't even defend themselves quite often. Sometimes, but not really. Not very often. They just think that they're entitled. Everything is theirs. So it's not stealing, it's just mine. And some of it, I've seen this. Now I've seen this in this way. Say that you're in one field, whatever field that you work in, and there's certain jargon, certain terminology, certain just ways people speak about or how they look at things. And it's because of they're in that field, and that's what they're around most of the day when they're at work, 40 hours a week or however many, that they hear this, and so that's the way they are outside of work with other people. Now, imagine, this I've seen by this type, they might hear some of those words, maybe they're not around you, maybe it's a sibling that's not around you that often, and the sibling is this way. And whenever they will take that, the way you speak, what you say, your terminology, your jargon, and they'll use it as though, they are also like you. They see that it sounds fancy to them. Okay, I'm using this kind of word, fancy. So they take it, and they use it wrong, in the wrong way. Okay, the sentence structure, whatever, any of it is wrong. They don't know what they're talking about, but they're acting as though they do. And some of them will actually do that, act as though that they are in that field. It's kind of like they try to steal your identity, not your, credits kind of thing. But no, that they steal your identity in this way. They want to act as though they're you. That they've worked in your field, or they had the right to be seen as that they're up there because of you. They're associated with you. They take on that arrogance. And it can cause a lot of trouble. I did a video about that before. Like I'm describing, these are the people who they feel like because they have experienced it, or they're associated with somebody, and they believe that they should only be associated with the big people. And they don't have to do the work. They're just associated, and they've experienced it, and they've I don't know. They grew up with people like this. Something. And they claim because of that experience and that being around other people, they're just as good. They've heard a lot of what they talk about, so they know the subject too. Or that they, like I said, have experienced it. Like people who say, I've experienced a lot in my life, and therefore I can counsel anybody. I can advise anybody. No, you can't. I've been doing videos about that for years now. No, you can mess them up. That's what's going to happen. And no, I'm talking about legally. You can't counsel people. It depends on where you live. Just because you've experienced it. And I don't know of any place that ever would say that allow you to say you're a counselor or you're a therapist when you don't have the appropriate license or whatever it is where you live. Yeah, that can become a big problem for people. Not only, for you legally, but for other people mentally and physically and so forth. For people to be giving out advice they should not be giving out. I have to divide this into 2 videos. I've got a trip here, so I'm just doing it, but we'll see. If I'm going to make it into 2 videos, I'll start this one that I've already been talking about. If not, I'll just add them to them. I don't know how long it's gotten, how long a video. That first one, I don't want it to be too long, so I might divide it into 2, and this would be the first part of the second one, or just continuation of the other one. Just depends on how long it is once I can stop and see. But anyway, I was talking about narcissistic, histrionic people, the things that I've seen, the blends, and I've seen blends. It's not about about any kind of disorder. It's not a diagnosis. It's not any kind of advice or counseling, anything along that line. Read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. If this is just one video, you've already heard that. But yeah, the way I have dealt with, I have seen them all of my life here in my 50s. I'm sick of them. I'm very sick of them. It gets tired. But I do think, and I find it funny that there was a while, I don't know if it's still going on, that it was considered that histrionic personality disorder would be taken out of the DSM, but it wasn't. And my thought is, really? Really? That one just sums up so much of the behaviors I have seen. And I mentioned how they're loud people, they're theatrical, so many things about them. Go look it up yourself. But oh my goodness, I have dealing with them, and they wanted to take that out. No, that's like a perfect diagnosis for so many people. But at the same time, as I'm saying, I see it as more of a blend. Is their behaviors just aren't that. And some would say, whoa. Some would say, I was in my lane, by the way. But some would say that, it's more of a borderline, that they should be diagnosed as borderline, and that they exhibit behaviors of histrionic and narcissistic. Okay, you see what I'm saying? But it is something that I've done for years. I've been writing these little stories, making videos, and it's not perfect. It's, like I said, it's rough draft kind of thing, and various types of situations I'm using. And it's all hypothetical, fictional, and but just for things, it's kind of like a pressure release valve. I can talk about it in these ways. I've been doing this for years. Before I started on YouTube making videos, it was 5 years in August on my original channel. Now, but I have been online in anything that you might think of as a social media platform, or business, or whatever, since 1990. Okay, and it's not, before then there was the emails that, kind of thing at work and stuff like that. But 1990, I had my first computer in 1982. It had a 300 baud modem. Some people won't even know what that means. But yeah, let's talk about slow. But I think the first one I really used was 11. That was the lowest. Was it 1100 or 1200? Yeah, 1200 baud modem. Most often back then it was 2400, then 9600, I think, or 98. That's a long time ago. although some offices might still have them. Good. Oh, I don't know why I got on that one. But, well, basically to say that, I need to put my shoes on here, my other shoes. But basically it's to say, I've seen quite a bit over the years, and online. And now if I'm going just to talk about online, no, my first part of this video, yeah, much of what I've seen, of course, for my whole life, I'm in my 50s, was face-to-face. Until, you know, the internet. But when I think about it, 1990, that's over half of my life. You know? So it's not. It might be online too. But yeah, you will see these, the drama queens. This would be the drama queens. When to them, they're never at fault. You know, this type, what I see as narcissistic, histrionic, the behaviors blend in some people. They're never wrong. Okay, to them, they're never wrong. No, actually, they might say, this type might say that they're wrong about something. And then you'll hear a but. Well, I was wrong about that, but. And then it's usually, that person did worse. Well, that doesn't excuse your behaviors of what you did. Focus on what you did. But see, in my own mind, I don't see these much as any of them ever changing. Ever doing any introspection and changing. You know, some people differ. I think that there's a chance that some would if they got, you know, got it early enough. Like, you know, they're diagnosed and they go and seek counseling, and they, you know, I think they can modify their behaviors and not act on their behaviors, but to totally change, I don't think so. You know, it's kind of like they need to learn to stop talking so loud. Like if they go to a job and the job says, no, we're going to fire you because you're too loud. You laugh loud, you talk loud, speak loud, and it's disruptive. Our customers don't like it. Our business is having problems. Then they might modify their behavior while at work. Okay, that kind of modification to who they are. They might lower their voices, not laugh so loud, not talk so loud, and not be right in the middle of everything, as though they're the expert on everything. Yeah, they can modify. I think some of them can modify, or they move on. They say, oh, that job, that they were just, those fuddy-duddies, something like that. They'll come up with how it was their fault. It's their fault, not their own fault, but the other people's fault. That it's not good. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'm at the doctor's office, and I counted the minutes, and I can put them all together on one. So, how many of the clips would they add up? It's gonna be around 20 minutes or so, I think. Anyway, I'll talk to you on another video.